Just around 2 months ago, everyone was talking about Chelsea in the same breath with the words title race. 2 losses in 23 games from September to late December, but since then, Chelsea have lost 4 from their last 9, winning just 3 games, which were against Wolves, West Ham and Morecambe. So why have Chelsea fallen off? Some say this falls down to Enzo Maresca, his lack of adaptability, flexibility in his approach play and weak mentality rubbing off onto the players. Some say it's the squad building and down to the board. Today's video, I'm going to take a deeper look at what's going wrong for the Italian head coach, looking at Maresca's tactical approach, why Chelsea succeeded in the first patch of the season, what's changed, the problems, and a whole lot more. Let's go. So as we know, an Enzo Maresca side likes to dominate the ball, dictate, use patient build-up play, waiting for gaps to emerge so they can break teams down. The wingers hold width, the striker is involved from the ball in link-up play, and the fullbacks differ. At Leicester, he used a 3-2-5 shape on the ball, inverting the right back into the midfield, creating a pivot of Ricardo and Harry Winks, as the left back tucks inside and the number 8 push right up. He didn't adapt this much, but at Chelsea, with the wider resources and different profiles he has tactically, it's differed quite a lot. We've seen Cucurella and Gusto move into the half spaces. We've seen Caicedo play at right back and join Lavia in the pivots. Recently, we've seen the fullbacks even play traditionally versus Brighton and Crystal Palace. This is in an attempt to stretch the opposition in their pressing shape to access the likes of Parma and the central players in more freedom. But more frequently, Chelsea have joined the trend of a 1-3 midfield. Caicedo sits at DM with Cucurella, Palmer and Enzo moving into the half spaces. This looks to give Palmer more freedom, stretch the opposition's midfield and connect with the wide players more easily. So in summary, Enzo does tactically adapt within his shape and the achievement on it, just not as much within the attacking patterns and their overall approach play. Chelsea were flying before late December, title race this and title race that. But Enzo wasn't having it in the media. He dismissed it every time, and I think there's 2 ways of seeing this. There's one, which tips more towards labelling him with a weak mentality, a lack of ambition, but the other tips more towards minimalising the pressure towards his group of players, more so supporting and praise towards his quality man management and coaching, as he has worked with the very best. And it's important to remember, it's his first season managing at the top level and with these group of players. Chelsea and Chelsea fans would have known this before he was appointed. I don't think Chelsea fans, the club or Enzo would have expected to be in a title race this season, but at the same time, you expect within the following seasons for them to be challenging, so that doesn't mean he's immune to criticism by no means. So what's changed all of a sudden? There's key components to look at here, including change in opposition's approach play to playing Chelsea, key injuries, squad building and Chelsea's inflexibility in approach play. They all mix in together, so let's take a look. When a new manager comes into a big team, well, they have a way of playing that's sophisticated and stylistic like Chelsea's. It takes time for people to figure out, for a team to expose it and identify the weaknesses that can become a direct game plan for the rest of the league. So the Premier League at the start of the season really struggled to get a grasp of how to beat this Chelsea team when they were in red hot form, scoring goals for fun, 3+ a game. They rightfully look to attack Chelsea, press them man-to-man aggressively and play like usual, except Enzo's team dominated, played through and outplayed teams. And throughout this good run where they looked unbeatable, as simple as it sounds, they weren't suffering with injuries to important players. Romeo Lavia, Wesley Fofana, Mauricio, and most recently Nicolas Jackson. Lavia and Fofana were very important and probably the most noticeable. Fofana was integral. His recovery pace, 1v1 defending, ability on the ball and reliability is something that isn't replaced to the same quality with Tosin and Chalobah. However, when teams play Chelsea now, a lot of them sit in a low block, putting men behind the ball with the stronger possibility of exposing Chelsea on the break, because with so many numbers back, they have to push more blue shirts forward when attacking, meaning if you leave good transitional fast threats ready to pounce, then you'll find space. Now Caicedo is very good at breaking up play early, but after that, without Fofana and Lavia, is tough. Colwill struggles to defend space out wide like we saw versus West Ham, and overall Chelsea midfielders aren't the greatest chasing back, Enzo Fernandez in particular. Teams who don't play in this fashion and prefer to press high and aggressive like Bournemouth and Brighton, they do so more coordinated, man-to-man, more positionally disciplined without exposing their back line. Teams play out versus Chelsea, and they do so with genuine comfort. Chelsea and their forward line press lack physicality. They aren't majorly aggressive, and I don't think the likes of Palmer, Madueke, Jackson, Nkunku, Neto are that threatening and positionally aware and intelligent off the ball. On the ball, their shape has been altered a lot in preparation for the team they are facing, which is good. You need this in a manager, but that doesn't mean that they play much differently. Chelsea have recently fallen flat a lot. The same happened at Leicester. I'm a Leicester fan, I saw it firsthand. Second half of the season arrives and we create chances, but then our attackers miss them. They're not doing enough. Daka, Vardy, Mavididi, the main culprits for this, but the performances overall were still very unconvincing. It was individual quality that was sometimes getting us over the line. Palmer is their only source of reliability and top quality. You can play patiently without moving the ball so incredibly slow. Chelsea at times have lacked imagination and attacking combinations, for me, due to moving the ball around too slowly. There's dictating possession, but then there's also struggling to break a side down. I think Enzo's side tips more towards struggling to break teams down. This also combines with my final point, squad building. Chelsea have spent over £1 billion in the past few years, of course under different managers, but to spend that amount of money and still have issues within the squad is crazy. There's flaws across every position. In goal, you have a very inconsistent Rob Sanchez and a promising but potentially not ready Philip Jorgensen, although I do believe Jorgensen should be the number one. Centre-backs, there's imbalance. Colwill can play central centre-back in possession very well, but not as well as left centre-back. Fofana, fantastic at right centre-back, but not central centre-back, and he's injury prone. Chalobah, right centre-back, but not central centre-back. And Tosin can only play that central centre-back role. This may seem silly, but once one or two injuries occur, you have dilemmas. It alters your shape, the way you use the fullbacks, and you need balance for the players to do both. To add to the defence, you've only got James, Gusto and Cucurella as the fullbacks. Cucurella is probably the most flexible, Gusto too, but Reece James is injury prone and we've hardly seen him invert or overlap, we've only seen him back three deep on the ball. So this does limit Maresca's philosophy a little bit and shape. In the midfield, you have Lavia, fantastic but injury prone, and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who I think Maresca only wants to use in cup competitions, leaving just Caicedo and Enzo. And then you have the attack, where for me there's probably the most problems. Jackson is the only number 9 and is sadly very inconsistent. Nkunku doesn't fit Chelsea's system up top. Nkunku wants to operate in the half spaces. He wants to be involved more, influence the build-up play, link up with attackers, but occupy in those spaces where Palmer does. So when Nkunku plays as a 9 and then drops in, nobody's up top running in behind or just being in this area. The wingers hold width, so none of them come inside, meaning there's no physical presence up top. We saw this happen versus Brighton last week in the Cup. Another problem I find is the width. I take into consideration that Maresca wants his wingers to hold width, cut inside and then create. But besides Madueke, none of them are really runners and have a huge eye for goal. At Leicester, he had Fatawu and Mavididi starting week in, week out, and they could do this, hold width, but be runners and share quality in output and create. If you look at Chelsea's forwards, they're all pretty similar, not necessarily in profile, but they all want the ball to their feet, and to then create for Jackson or Palmer to put the chances away, and Palmer can't do it all by himself. Jackson does miss a little bit. Against low blocks it's difficult when there's numerous men behind the ball, but to beat it, there's ways. Set pieces, like Arsenal, but overall, X-factor quality. Whether that's through long shots, solo runs, physical and aerial strength, Chelsea don't have this besides Palmer. The squad's imbalanced. This is over-reliance at its finest, and to think if that young talent from Manchester City never came out to be as good as he is, then where would Chelsea be today? But this is all why Chelsea is struggling. It's easy to come for the manager, but you've got to take into account the situation. I personally like Enzo a lot. I do think he's a little one-dimensional with his play and struggles to find solutions, but we know tactically he's going to be top level. He's very early in his managerial career. This is his second full season as a manager, his first job at top level football and in the Premier League. We've seen what he can do, how he can get Chelsea playing. He's quality in man management and a great coach. Of course he could be doing a little bit more with his tack, and I lot believe Chelsea should be in a title race, and even claiming that Enzo's a yes man. And for me, to the board, I find that hard to picture. At Leicester, he pushed the board, and rightfully so. They are hugely responsible for Leicester City's downfall, so I struggle to believe that all of a sudden he is this yes man. But I think overall, you give Maresca the time with his group of players and club to take Chelsea back where they belong. I think his ambition with the squad will change as they go season by season, and if he's backed with good recruitment and time, I think he'll succeed. Thank you guys for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to smash a like and subscribe to the channel. What do you think of Enzo Maresca? Is he good enough to take Chelsea forward? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.